Hi, and welcome to No Sugar Now. My name is Adam, and today we're making sugar-free, keto-friendly creme brulee. And why are we sugar-free? We're sugar-free to promote health, and I personally am on a ketogenic diet. Sugar-free is the way to be, so let's get started. Now we'll take a look at the ingredients we'll be using. 2 cups of heavy cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, the yolks of 4 eggs, 4 strawberries for topping, and 5 tablespoons of monk fruit sweetener. Prep time of 10 minutes, bake time of 30 minutes, and set time of 4 hours. So let's get baking. Now we're going to pour our 2 cups of heavy cream into a medium-sized saucepan. Now we'll add our teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now the recipe calls for just 1 teaspoon, but we like a little extra vanilla, so on top of that teaspoon, I normally add an extra splash. Now you'll turn on your heat to medium. So now you've got your heat on medium low that is. You'll take your whisk. I've got my trusty golden whisk here. It's my favorite. And you're going to whisk that vanilla and cream together ever so slightly. So now you've got your cream and your vanilla whisked together on medium-low heat. You're going to let that set up just a little bit till it starts to get a little bubbly around the edges. It starts to form a film on the top that starts to crack ever so slightly. You're going to let that set up and turn off the heat there. Now, once you have it turned off, you're going to let those flavors meld with no heat for a minimum of 30 minutes. If you've got an hour, go for an hour. But a minimum of 30 minutes, you want the flavors of the vanilla and the cream to meld together. And that's going to be delicious. So now we're going to separate our egg yolks from our egg whites. Now there's a few different techniques people use. This is the one I find the easiest. Cracking the egg in half. Give it a little shuffle here. You can use the edge of the egg shell if you have any stubborn parts of the yolk that don't want to separate. You can use that to rub and cut it off if you like. And there you have it. 1 down. And if it's your first time, go slow. Be careful. Take your time. You might sacrifice an egg in the process. That's okay. You can still cook up these whites if you like and eat them if you don't want to waste them. So now we're going to prepare our casserole dish and our ramekins for your creme brulee to go in the oven. So while your flavors are melding on the stove, you can do this step. You're going to use a casserole dish like we see here, a medium-sized casserole dish. We'll leave a link to Amazon where you can pick up a suitable one below. And you'll need a tea towel or a hand towel, preferably clean if you got one. And you're going to fix this towel so that it serves as a barrier between the casserole dish and the ramekins. Now, a ramekin is a small, as you can see, porcelain dish, and this is what you're going to pour your creme brulee, your hot custard, your hot cream into. These are by a company named Una, and we'll leave a link to Amazon below where I bought these. And you're going to place them into the casserole dish, staggered. Kind of want them off center. That way they all fit in there without touching. So you're going to have this here staggered just a little bit, a little offset. They're kind of going at an angle right here. And you have your towel separating the casserole dish from the ramekins, so you don't have that heat directly on the ceramic to the Pyrex or the glass of your casserole dish. That's going to prevent it from scorching. So while your cream and vanilla are melding, you can go ahead and heat your oven to 345 degrees. You're going to want to heat up at least a liter of water in a saucepan, a tea kettle, whatever you got around to heat water with, and you want to heat that up to a boil. Now this water is going to be poured into your casserole dish, and that's going to surround your ramekins and soak that towel. That's your barrier there. So now it's time to get back to your cream. You're going to get this cream and we're going to superheat this cream. Turn it on hot. You're going to heat it up as much as your pot will take. Some pots, it will rise all the way to the top. Some pots, it will just stop below the top of the saucepan. So once this gets going, it's going to get nice and frothy. And we're going to move it into our bowl, which has our sweetener and our eggs, which have been in the fridge, because these eggs are going to be used to cool our cream. And we're going to show you how we're going to whisk all that together right now. So now we've had our mixture on high heat for about 3 minutes, and it's starting to froth up and boil up and superheat. That's what we're doing right now. We're superheating. I'm going to reference Braveheart here. When you got it superheating, you want to hold steady before you pick up that spear. Just give it a chance to get as hot as it can possibly be. And now here, it looks like we're hitting terminal velocity for this heat. I'm going to give it a 3 Mississippi, and we're going to take it to our mixing bowl. All right, here we go to the mixing bowl, and you want to pour it as fast as you can into the mixing bowl, and you want to whisk as you're doing so. We've got some spinning going on here, but I'm going to take hold of that. If you want to prevent that at home, you can put a towel underneath it. Secure it any way you can. And I typically whisk this for a minute or two. You're going to get that cream nice and you're going to get the right consistency. It's going to be whipped a little bit. You're going to have a nice, fluffy creme brulee. And those cold eggs from the fridge are cooling down our mixture. Starting to thicken up a little bit. Feel a little extra tension on your wrist. You might be doing it right. You see lots of steam coming off. It's cooling down. That's what you want, to cool it down. You just superheated it. And this technique I learned from a French cook. I can't remember who it was, but I'll find out. We'll leave his name in the description. You can employ his technique as well. But I do the best I can, and it comes out great. All right, so we're just about done whisking here. Want to get it nice and aerated, nice and fluffy is how it's going to come out once it comes out of the fridge. And let's call that that. Now we're going to pour our creme brulee into the porcelain ramekins. Try and make them even. There's a little line in the ramekin. I kind of use that as a reference for how much I'm pouring in each. We might have one shorty here, but that's okay. We'll all share these anyways. And I normally take the whisk. Let's try to get whatever I can out. That precious cream and vanilla that's been melding, and the flavors have been getting so nice. Nice to meet each other. Now, we've got our water over here. It's hot. We want to bring it up just to a boil. And we're going to bring that very, very hot water over to our casserole dish. Be careful, it's hot. And you're going to pour it in about halfway up the ramekins. Now be careful, if you boil your water too long, you're not going to have enough water. But it looks like we have enough here. Perfect. Our oven's already heated to 345 degrees. We're going to put this in the oven. And be careful, because there is hot water in there. And it's a very heavy dish. You do not want to spill hot water on yourselves or others. And set your timer for 30 minutes. This oven's preheated to 345 degrees. You don't want it to be too hot. It might vary a little bit depending on your oven. You know, all ovens are just a little bit different. So check it in 30 minutes. And see if it's set up. It should have a nice little jiggle to it. And we'll show you what that looks like once it's ready. I'm going to take a look. These creme brulee have been in about 15 minutes. From here on out, from the 15-minute mark on, you want to monitor them because they are getting set up. As you can see, they've got that little dome. If you give it a shake, it's wobbly. It's a little too wobbly. We want it to set up a little more than that. Alright, so it's just been 30 minutes and it looks like your creme brulee is setting up just right. I've got my trusty oven mitts on and we're going in to take it out. Now you can see our creme brulee here, it's got a bit of a bubble on top and just the right amount of wiggle. You see it bouncing and jiggling, kind of like some jello. It means it's time to come out. Go slow, it's hot. You do not want that water on yourself. We've got our creme brulee out of the oven and onto the counter. Now we're gonna let it sit here for just a few minutes, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how you feel really. The point of letting it sit here is just to let some of the heat come off so they're easier to handle. We move it onto a towel that we have set aside. It's just there to protect the countertop, and we're gonna let it cool for about 30 minutes or so before we put it into the fridge to chill. Now, if you want to come back down here and see, there's a bit of a film. You can see the brown film there. Now, if you're covering it with a lot of toppings, a lot of strawberries, a lot of raspberries, a lot of blackberries, you're going to sprinkle some of your sweetener there. You can even put whatever you like on top. Dark chocolate and mint. I like to shave dark chocolate and mint and put that on top. But I like to take a sharp knife and just cut a bit of that off the top, that film, before I eat it. Just because the texture can be a bit strange and you want to eat the creme brulee the best it can be. So our creme brulee has been sitting out for about 8 minutes or so, just to let some of that heat dissipate. It's still too hot for me to handle with my fingers, so I've got my trusty oven mitt, nautical themed. We're going to remove it from the water. Now, I typically let it sit out between 30 minutes and an hour because, as a general rule in cooking and baking, according to Gordon Ramsay at least, you don't want to put something that's hot into the cold fridge or a freezer because it'll go rancid, as he says. So I'll let these chill here for about 30 minutes, let some of the heat come off, and then we're going to put them into the fridge for 4 hours to set. So it's been 4 hours, and we've taken our creme brulee out of the fridge. I've already started putting some topping on here. Fresh strawberries, sliced to your desired thickness. Bon appetit!